What's up, guys? It's Micah again, and this is the second part of this video on adjusting your guitar and making it play better. So the last video we adjusted the neck and showed how to tighten it up, tighten up the truss rod and make it pull back, get those strings a little bit closer, making things easier for you if you're having a hard time getting good sounds out of your string. Now, just a quick note, another thing that is good to think about whenever you are having a hard time playing your guitar, another thing that you can do a lot of times is switch to a lighter string gauge, okay? Typically an acoustic guitar is going to have 12s, which meaning that our smallest string is going to be a 0.12, and then I forget what all the other gauges are, but they just kind of move up from there. Now, what you can do is there's lighter strings. You could go down to 11s. You could even go to like 10s, which are super light. And a lot of electric guitars use that. You could even switch over to an electric guitar string if you wanted to. Now, granted, they don't usually sound as good, but they do make it easier to play while you're getting started. And later on, as you get stronger and better, you can switch into a heavier string. So those are some things you can think about. Now, for this video, we're going to talk about taking the bridge saddle and bringing it down a little bit, okay? So as you can see, this bridge saddle is kind of high and it's lifting my strings quite a bit off of my fretboard, right? So what I want to do is shorten this so that these strings will be lower when they come out of here, kind of like that, okay? Which will mean that string is going to be closer to my fretboard down here, okay? Which is what we want. Now, the danger here is overdoing it, and this becoming too short, and then the strings are too close to the fretboard and they end up buzzing and rattling and vibrating everywhere, okay? So the biggest danger here is shaving this off too much. Okay, so let's hope that I don't do that, but what I'm going to do is, first off, we're just going to take it out. So the first thing that we're going to do is loosen the strings a lot. We're going to loosen the strings a lot. Okay, I got this. I got my little pliers, and I'm just going to reach down on here. I'm going to grab the bridge saddle, and I'm going to pull it. Actually, I'm going to pull it up right here. I'm going to pull it up out of there. And one thing you can do if you want, you can take your strings all the way off. I'm not going to do that because of the way my bridge is set up. However, I need to loosen this string up a little bit more. If you pull your strings all the way off, that will make it easier. However, when you are, I like to just loosen the strings up so that I can just slide it back in under there and test it. Because if you end up, kind of messing up your strings or whatever and you can't put them back on, then it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt to try and test it. So I like to leave them on there and just get them real loose so I can pull the bridge saddle out, sliding it out, and voila. Okay, so as you can see, here's our bridge saddle. And this is what it looks like. Now, obviously, that's where the strings go. And we are not filing on the top part, okay? What we're going to do is file on the bottom part. So what you need is some sandpaper. Okay, so what I've got here is a little bit of sandpaper. And I am just, it's like it's 100 grit. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. But remember, we're not trying to take much off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil, just a little lead pencil, and I'm going to put a little line on the bottom. And the reason I want to do this is so that I don't do too much, okay? If you shave too much, you kind of screw it, and because you can't unshave it, it's already done. So what I'm going to do here is just mark it a little bit so that I know not to go too far. Okay, so as you can see, I got this lead sticking out about that far, so not much, and I just kind of ran it down the side of this thing. So I just want to take off a little bit. I really don't want to take off any more. I really don't want to take off any more than that. Otherwise, I'm probably going to end up too low, which is what I did last time I did this, probably about 6 months ago or so, on my other saddle, which is why this one's so old looking, because I had to put my old one back on because I overdid it, because I got a little too hasty. I was trying not to have to do it twice. But remember, better to do it twice than to have to go buy a whole new stinking thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sand this down until I can't see that line anymore. So here we go. So basically, until that line disappears. Okay, so you can see it's getting a little smaller, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is again now. As you can see, we can actually still see a little bit of that line, but I'm going to go ahead and stop right there because, like I said, I've already done this once, screwed it up, and I don't want to do the same thing again. So anyway, it's a little bit shorter than it was before. If it's still too tall, then we can always do it again. So I'm going to put it back on, and we're going to check it out. Okay, so here we go. And make sure you get it the right direction when you put it back in. So I'm going to slide this back in. Get it in there, and okay, and she's down. Now, we'll tighten the strings back up. Back in tune, saddle's on, let's give her a look. Okay, so there she is now. We can kind of see. What that looks like a little bit. Now, if we look here, we see, we can tell she's a little bit closer. Okay, it's still a little high, but it's not terrible. Okay, so what I may do is, honestly, I'm probably going to play it for a little while, maybe a few days, and see if I want to do more or not. So I'm going to leave it right there. But remember, all I got to do is, if I decide I want to do more, I'll just same thing, loosen up the strings, pull that back out, give me just a tiny little line, take a little more off, and then play it and see what I think about it. Just remember, if you go too low, you don't want to go too low, otherwise you're going to start getting those buzzies. So, it's definitely easier to play than it was. It's definitely not as easy to play as an electric guitar, but it's still much better than it was. Now, I would probably like it to be a little bit more than what it is. I'm not going to do it right now, but I will probably end up doing a little more adjustment maybe in a few days or so. So anyway, hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope it saves you some money on getting a setup and makes your guitar easier to play and all that good stuff. My name is Micah. I will see you soon in another video.